I caution you that I'm about to read out something quite unpleasant, but I'm about to say something quite unpleasant as well. This is all I'm getting now. When I ask for people who are still pleased that we're leaving the European Union, people who could still portray it in a way that suggests they're going to be happier out than in. Good day, Mr. O'Brien. I'm nearly 70. They've brought more and more blacks into this country during my lifetime, until we are now at breaking point with these bloody awful people. Of course you will get neo-Nazis, and Christ knows who else on the bandwagon to put this right. Black immigrants have been brought here with no consultation to the British public. It has been a betrayal, imposition, and an insult to the British people. Quite clearly things will be coming to a head, I would think fairly soon. When these problems really start, the EC will be relegated to the back pages and forgotten. The vote to come out of the EC would never have come about if you didn't have all these Africans and West Indians here. Most of them are involved in crime of one sort or another, and they should be living in their own countries, not here. Now, that there is an increasing emboldening of people like that. When you work for a radio station like LBC, they're always there, but the confidence with which they behave has increased. And I guess that the sort of patron saint of people like that, the beery flatulence made flesh that is Nigel Farage, I guess the fact that he is today speaking at the Spandau Citadel to a far-right rally of Germans and neo-Nazis at the invitation of Adolf Hitler's finance minister suggests that, you know, even their sort of cheerleaders are becoming a little bit more honest about what most of us have known all along they truly represent. And there you have it. And it is that simple. That's all I'm getting from people who are telling me that things are going to be better than before. Just out-and-out, undiluted racism. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC. Here's a brilliant text, unintentionally brilliant. In fact, it's one of a series of texts, all making exactly the same point. Here we go. I don't care what it costs or who's to blame. I just want less foreign savages on our streets. The cost and everything else won't affect me or mine. This is Scott in Fulham. Another one. OMG, when you going to realise nobody cares how bad it's going to be as long as there's less foreign people here? You completely misunderstand me, Scott, because I think you're right. I think that is the only possible position that you can adopt now without admitting that you were wrong. If you voted to leave, because I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I honestly believe there's going to be fewer, not less, but hey, it's only the English language. I genuinely don't care about what happens. I don't care if my son loses his job. I don't care if the pound in my pocket tanks. I don't care if I can't afford to buy a new car for 20 years. I don't care about this, and I don't care about that, and I don't care about this. I don't care if I can't see a doctor. I don't care if we haven't got enough nurses to fill our hospitals. Don't care. I just want fewer foreigners. That's it. Scott, mate, I mean, I do realise that. It's everybody else who doesn't admit it yet. I've thought that all along. My vote was cast because of people like you. Genuinely. I was perfectly amenable to the idea that there might be some sort of economic upturn to leaving the European Union. I was too ignorant, really, to have a view on that. I just knew that people like you were going to be validated by this. And I've been proved right about that as well. So don't say I don't realise it. I realised it before you did, you racist fool. It's 11:16. It is 20 minutes after 11, and you are listening to James O'Brien on LBC. James, you're right about everything, but that last text from Scott is the view of many people. I wasn't disputing it. I just want them all to admit it. I don't care what happens to the country. I just hate foreigners. And actually, that's not fair. You'd say someone like Farage, he doesn't hate all foreigners, does he? He loves far-right Germans. He's gone to make a speech to them. Think you're right about everything. That last text from Scott is the view of many people. They don't care what happens to the country as long as there are fewer Johnny foreigners. I know. It's honesty I'm looking for. People come out and admit that so we can count them, know where we are, and ideally help them to be less bigoted and nasty. This is another good one as well. James, you're so full of doom and gloom. You're telling me I'm full of doom and gloom. If one of your children wanted to train to be a doctor, would you constantly tell them that they will never pass the exams? So don't bother. You'll never be capable of being a doctor. Or would you get behind them and encourage them? Confidence breeds confidence. You're so negative. Other countries manage. I don't want to manage. I want to thrive. Without being in the European Union, why can't we? We can manage. Of course we can manage. Just not as well as we're managing now. But you missed something out in your charming text. And it is perfectly polite as well. I've read it out. You've missed something out. If one of my children wants to be a doctor, the first thing I'll do is look at their exam results. First thing I'll do is talk to their teachers, mate. One of my kids wants to be a doctor, but she is, not the sharpest knife in the drawer or is rubbish at science. Then my job as a parent is to gently persuade her down a different course. I really want to be a doctor, Dad. What grades did you get in your science GCSEs? I got 3 Fs. maybe you should go into politics or radio presenting. So this is the point, you see. Even though, you think you're being a genius when you send me this text, but you're completely proving my point. You think that being a doctor is a matter of faith and belief, not a matter of study and aptitude. So you look at the European Union plans, you look at Brexit, and you think that you can make it good just by clapping your hands. I do believe in fairies. Mate, you're talking about medicine. You're talking about 6 or 7 years at medical school. You're talking about intellectual acuity. You're talking about scientific talent. You're not talking about believing in fairies. So, if one of my daughters wants to be a doctor, the very first thing I will do is... We need a jingle for this, Axel. Look at the evidence. Look at the facts. Look at the statistics. Look at the numbers. And then, do you know what else I'd do? I've got doctor friends. I talk to them. I said, do you think she's got... Well, what's it like being a doctor? Do you know what we call them in the context of this sort of conversation? Experts. So I'd talk to the experts and I'd look at the facts. And then I would decide whether or not my role as a father would be best fulfilled by gently dissuading or actively helping. Your role as a father, apparently, you're like an X-Factor dad, aren't you? So your little kid says they want to be a pop star, and you think you can make it happen just by believing. That is very emblematic of a generation of parents that are probably responsible for this mess. You think you can make things happen just by wanting them enough. It doesn't work like that. First thing you teach your children is the relationship between actions and consequences. Work hard. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll win the race, but it means you'll do a hell of a lot better than you would have done if you didn't work hard. Not in your world, though. In your world, it's enough to get behind them and encourage them, because confidence breeds confidence. All right, get back in touch when your kid's playing for Chelsea, okay? Because you get behind him and encourage him, he'll be playing football in the Premier League by the end of the year. Man alive, sometimes I feel I should get paid twice. Once for the journalism, second time for providing the therapy to the afflicted. More texts than usual today, because I find them so illustrative, unintentionally illustrative. There's the fellow who thinks that if your child wants to be a doctor, then just believing in them and encouraging them is more important than their natural aptitude, their ability to do science or their intelligence. And here's another one. Are you going to be willing to shut your arrogant mouth and let someone with a different point of view on Brexit talk? It's not points of view, sweetheart. It's points of fact. Part of the reason Brexit is maybe failing, that's the slow sound of a penny dropping in slow motion, is because of people like you that shut everyone down because you're still drying your liberal tears. Do you know what? I'm so touched by your plight, I'm not even going to point out that you can't spell your. Let me give you let's have a quick look in the inbox. Here's one. It is happening. Keep on having your tantrums, as it's the most entertaining thing on the radio. It doesn't matter how many times you cry and cut people off. Ha 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 ha. There you go. That'll teach you, won't it?